So I've just come back from JITS training session.
Yeah.
I've got a bit of I don't know, chesty cough thing going on. My breathing was really hard today. I felt real sympathy for some of my clients today because I was like, could not get my breath back. And I was like, wow, I was fine a week ago. What, in your opinion, working with athletes is a good recovery breath in between rounds of like on the football pitch, rugby? Because, you know, I'm trying to do I call it piggy nose. I'm lifting up the nose, I'm spreading this, and I'm trying to stay nasal. But then I've know other people that will, and they'll blow off a load of CO2 so they can go back again. So what have you seen that works best in active recovery between?
Yeah, exactly. I mean, I've done a whole podcast episode just on like recovery. Like this could be quite big, but I'll try and distill it down if I'm any good at what I'm doing, and I should be able to distill it down. The annoying answer is initially that it's important to just contextualize that it depends. If the training session purpose is, I want to, let me put it this way. I've got like 3 options almost. I've got like make my recovery easier in the moment. I've got, and then just understanding, like we'll go into understanding how breathing could be used for that. Whether I just sort of deal with the discomfort of trying to control my breathing and put things into place so that I, in the long term, will improve my recovery. But just in the moment, it's going to feel a bit harder. Or I can actually purposefully make breathing harder during my recovery so that it's absolutely disgusting in training, but that creates adaptation. The same way, like when you put weight on a bar and do squats, it doesn't make you better at squats right there and then. You're actually trying to create a stress, a physical like stress that you've got to overcome with a weight, a force. And once you've recovered and adapted, then you get better. So what that might look like in those 3 different scenarios, in order to get your breathing, or I can go before I go there, I'll go like a bit of a theme, something that I will always try to get across in my sort of like first session, if you like, in terms of managing breathing with recovery. The volume of air that you're breathing is dictated by the size of each breath, tidal volume, and the speed of your breathing, your respiratory rate. Those 2 things create the volume of air that you're breathing. The speed of your breathing is like the key metric in terms of if that gets too fast and you can't control it, the volume of your breath goes out the window. Yeah, becomes short and shallow. And the mechanics go out of the window. So you start becoming very inefficient with your breathing when you lose control of the rate. So being able to control the rate of your breathing, really important. So when we're thinking about recovery, we actually want to start thinking about our breathing, not necessarily thinking about, but something as a coach I'm thinking about, how can I help them with their breathing during the exercise so they're already a bit more in control before we then go and now do the breathing recovery. Does that make sense? Mm-hmm. So being able to manage the rate of your breathing, your CO2 tolerance goes into that, your psychological relationship with feeling out breath goes into that, your mechanics goes into that. All things that we can train. Now, if we're going to make breathing, so before we get into that, the thing for recovery that's always going to be some coaching cues from me is get control of your exhalation and try to get back to nasal. And the back is an important word in that, because depending on the intensity of the exercise someone's doing and depending on where they're at in their ability to nasal breathe and the shape and structure of their airway, their nose and all these things, they might have to be mouth breathing at that point. So if I say get back to nasal, it gives them permission to use their mouth. But what's important for me is that just because you're using your mouth, you don't have terrible control of the rate of your breathing and terrible volume of breathing and terrible mechanics of breathing. Because one thing that I guess a little thing that frustrates me a little bit at the moment is people see a bit about breathing and they maybe see a tennis player with their mouth taped on the training court and it's like, all right, you've just got to breathe through your nose. And it's like, that's just one element of it. And depending on the circumstance, it might be incredibly stressful to breathe through your nose. So get control of your exhale is a really important one, and get back to nasal.